Spiral throwers, welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking in a GST from scratch. I saved you guys the boring brushing, but that's about a week of brushing. I would say total time elapsed, I don't know, 40 minutes. I got a bad shoulder, and between throwing on weekends and trying to hit a 3-plate bench, I can't really go for like 40 minutes straight with a brush in my hand anymore. So just doing a little at a time when I'm working, waiting for a meeting, while my daughter's sleeping, while I'm playing NCAA, whatever. A little here and there. So let's get to it here. First step, Leather Honey, new product here on the channel. You've probably seen this other places. It's a little different than the Wilson conditioner. The Wilson conditioner, if you've tried it, is not that thick. I think it's some mix, honestly, of a standard sort of Lexol type conditioner and tack spray. I get the feeling that it's meant to tack the ball up as much as it is to soften it, but we're going to add tack later. I am a convert, thanks to Caleb over at Grip and Rip, of breaking in for softness off the hop as opposed to tack. You can always add tack later, so long as you don't destroy the ball's natural grip, which is why I didn't do any shaving cream or anything on this ball. I think that's ridiculous. Like the watery rag and shaving cream is like the stupidest thing in the world. So I'm going to try and break this in for softness, and then, as a side effect, get some color and get some good feeling, and then from there we'll add tack at the end. So I'm wearing the nitrile gloves that I got from LBC. I went with first a finger application, so I was just putting it on the ball like you would the Wilson conditioner and using my hands to rub it in. And then I went to the microfiber just to see what the difference was like and if there was a difference or if I liked one more than another. Good camera work there. Just leave the Leather Honey right in the middle of the shot. Again, this channel so ill-rehearsed, so underprepared, but at least the camera work or the camera detail is good. I ended up going back to the finger applicator, like the gloves, just because I think with the microfiber towel, you wind up taking off some of the conditioner that you put on with other parts of the towel. So you can imagine, like, I'm using a very small surface area of the towel because of where the conditioner is, but then other parts of the towel are dragging on the ball. It's annoying, honestly. And unless you're using, unless you really need the towel for some reason, maybe you don't have gloves, you don't want to use your fingers, or some other, unknown reason, I would say just use your hands. Get a pair of gloves and use your hands. I've also used receiver gloves doing this. Like I have a couple of pairs of old gloves with like holes in the fingers or whatever that I kept around, for God knows what reason. My wife probably hates that, but I've used those too. Those work fine as well. You're not going to use them again in a game, so it's not like it's that worrisome to like grease them up. But anyway, you can see I'm not being too careful with the stripes or laces. Look, this is meant to be a fun process. You can't worry too much about that stuff. You're going to play with this ball anyway. Just have fun with this breaking process. It's hard to ruin these balls, short of dousing it in conditioner, dousing it in some weird product or some weird concoction you came up with at home. Pretty straightforward. So you're going to finish this application, just an even coat around the ball, nothing too thick. And then we'll come back and see what step 2 was. Okay, so I left this overnight, I believe, just because I got busy, but you probably need only 4 or 5 hours before everything soaks in. Then I went to Old Faithful here, the Wilson brush. Somebody asked me what the baseline for ball care is, and leather care, when you own one of these balls. There's a lot of comments on the channel and comments on other channels about you need this product, you need that product. What you need is a nylon brush, a tack bar, and some conditioner. So you can use like Lexol basic conditioner, would probably be fine, though it's not meant for footballs. A nylon nail brush would be fine, though it might not necessarily be meant for footballs either. And then a snowboard wax bar would be fine as well. Though again, not sold especially for footballs. Wilson obviously sells all this stuff kitted and separately, so you can buy, and I recommend people do buy this, to be honest with you. It's been great for me. The Wilson tack bar kit with the brush plus the leather conditioner, 8-ounce bottle is fine. I bought my 8-ounce bottle a long time ago. It's still kicking. So let's get to the mud. The mud has been fun learning how to do this, to be honest with you. I've come up with a trick here I think works, and you can tell me what you guys think if you do this at home and report back. This is just mud from my backyard. I've kind of crushed this and tried to get out all the hard pieces of dirt, the bigger pieces, because when you put the water in, you want it to be as fine as possible. But you'll notice here, I'm still picking out like grains of stuff and squashing pieces, and there's little sticks. I think I even pick out a little piece of paper here. Yeah, who knows? That could be part of a treasure map or something. I'm not sure. But this is not from the Catalina riverbed, or like, you know, they didn't make an Indiana Jones movie about finding this mud. I'll tell you that. It's basically just stuff that I've been able to put in a cup from my backyard, like I've said a million times. The trick, though, I think, is in the filter, it's in the water removal, and it's in the part that comes after that. So I'm adding a lot of dirt here. You'd be surprised. You add a lot of dirt and a lot of water, and then the mud you get is basically like 2 tablespoons, maybe. It's not much at all. And you need, I don't want to say quite a bit, but more than you think to get a nice, even coat. So you see the thickness and the density of the dirt there. I have a couple containers that I've been using, so I just toss it in, put a little water in from the laundry sink. I didn't put nearly enough. I had to go back to the well twice there to get more during this process, which you'll see. But basically what you're doing here is making sure that you're keeping as much of the dirt in the coffee filter as you can. Be careful with these things, because these things are so elusive. Sometimes you pick up what you think is all of the sides, or like, you know, enough of the perimeter that you're not going to lose it out of like a brand new exit ramp, but it turns out that that's not the case. It's a little more difficult than you think. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. Possible I shouldn't have shared that. But so I'm adding quite a bit of water, and I have a toothbrush here to stir with. You may think, well, you could use a stir stick or whatever. I actually don't think you can. And the reason I say I don't think you can is because it's so annoying to use a stir stick to mix up the mud, and then you put it in the container, and when you're trying to scrape the stuff from the sides or from other parts of the container to finish the ball, like when you're running low on the mud you made, the stir stick is such a pain to get that stuff from other parts of the container into an area where you can grab it with your hands. But the toothbrush side of that brush makes it easy. So I recommend that. So I'm draining the water here, trying to strain it out. Don't break the filter, obviously, but you can give these things a pretty good squeeze. Like, you can imagine how heavy wet coffee grounds are, and short of really, you know, over handling a coffee filter between the machine and the garbage, it's pretty rare that you're going to break it. So I take out as much water as I can. I'm not overly zealous with it. I just try and get out most of the moisture, and you'll see the consistency of the mud afterwards. God, it's amazing. My wife doesn't watch these videos, but if she did, she'd be like, what the hell? All this mess is from you grabbing mud out of the backyard and coffee filters. Like, oh my God. God bless her. She's an amazing woman, but I somehow doubt that she wouldn't have questions about this. So basically, I'm just getting as much as I can off the filter. Use your fingers, man. Get dirty. You haven't been able to get dirty like this since you were a kid, so enjoy the process. Scrape as much off as you can. Dump the filter. You don't need it anymore. I'm only washing my hands because I'm about to reach for something that I don't want to get particularly dirty, because I keep it with my other leather care stuff. But this, I think, is the trick, okay? You got mud that looks like that. We have to add something to it to make it easy to apply. But what? I'll tell you what. Chamberlain's leather conditioner, #1, leather milk. Very, very easy to use, very gentle, and best of all, it is a very good leather care product that adds a little darkness to leather. So it darkens leather a bit. So I'm putting in there probably like, I don't know, what's that, a teaspoon, maybe less. Give it a good stir, and you'll see the consistency of the mud when it's done and ready to apply. I think it's quite good. It's very easy to apply to the ball. You can get it with your hands once you're wearing gloves, or even if you don't wear gloves, I guess. And it's very smooth. Not quite watery, not quite muddy, but smooth. There it is. That's the trick, boys. That's the trick. So you see I'm using the toothbrush here to scrape that extra stuff into that mud pile. And I'll do that a few times during the mudding process. Put the gloves back on. I think it's easier to do this with gloves than without. Go hard, man. Make sure that you rub the mud into the ball. Make sure that you rub the mud into the leather, the dimples. Like I said, I didn't brush this for all that long. I don't have an auto brush, so the dimples are still pretty pronounced. So you got to get it into the leather. Don't be afraid you're not going to damage the ball, okay, with this mud. There's barely anything in there in terms of like stuff that might damage it. You see the texture there. You see the consistency, and you see the thickness of the application. Don't be afraid. It's gonna come off the white stripes. And even if it doesn't come off the white stripes, it doesn't matter. Okay, the white stripes feel great even when there's dirt on them. We've all played with dirty balls, right? If you use GST outside, those stripes don't stay clean for more than a drive or two, right? So yeah, I'm keeping as much of the mud on the ball as I can with the gloves. This way your fingers are not taking mud away from the ball after you apply it, which I think is key. So let's watch the application, and we'll see what happens after that. Okay, so because I'm a good husband, I relocated to my garage here. This is the fun part. So this is, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around getting the mud off. I've seen a couple of different people do this a couple of different ways. There's the guys who use the auto brush to get the mud off the ball. I don't think that's exactly right. You know, Gio's Football Prep on Instagram, or Gio's Football Company on Instagram, he does a pretty decent job, but his balls don't come out very dark. And I think it's at least in part because he uses the auto brush. You're supposed to brush the mud into the ball, not off of it. Then there's the young lady who works for some college team, I forget. I think actually she just started working for the Bears, who does ball prep as well, who uses a rag. She's using a rag to get off some of the mud at the end of the process. You're not supposed to really do that either, I don't think. Then again, listen, she's a pro. Gio's obviously got a lot of followers and is doing something right. I just don't see it. I think it's better to do it this way, where it takes a bit more time, but you get a better result. So this is probably about 20 minutes worth of work, but look how dark that ball is. Like that is a really, really dark ball, and it's a very soft ball as well. It's not slick, it's just soft. And the one thing I will say about the GST is that you don't have a lot of places to hide if you get the mud, if you take mud off the ball after the process, because the ball's original color is just such a stark, like abrasive orange, that everyone's gonna know if you didn't get a good application, or if the color change is not permanent or whatever, right? Like it's going to be obvious right away. And like I said, I've had that problem before with the microfiber brushes. So I got to be honest, you can't see my face in this picture, but I was hyped at the result here because I haven't, done this a bunch of times. And so to repeat this process this well was really good. Only thing I would do differently here is I would have taped the stripes for this part. Only because it is hard to get that dirt out, and you'll see in the finished product. I did get most of the dirt off the stripes, obviously, but there's probably a better way to do it. I'm not really sure what you would do. Maybe like use a magic eraser, but you'll see what I opted for. So I just took it back to the basement here so you can get a good look in the light of what that ball looks like in terms of color. And I'm giving it a good brush, trying to get off as much dirt as possible, because in the next step, when you put the conditioner on, you don't want the conditioner to get clumpy with the dirt that's left on the ball. You just don't want that. I've had that happen before and then had to remud, right? So it's a bit of a pain. It looks dumb, but you can see here that I have some dirt in the seams. So I went to the LBC nail brush. It's a bit more coarse than the Wilson brush. I don't know exactly how much more coarse, but you can see there I got most of it off. So I sped the video up. It's kind of a pain to watch me keep doing this, but look how dark the leather is. That ball's never been thrown outside. That is really, really good. Don't mind me just getting high on my own supply here a little bit. So looks great. I should have cut that thread off. They shipped me that GST with that loose thread at the bottom, but anyway, neither here nor there. As far as GSTs go, this is like a very slim profile too. The silhouette is a little more narrow than I'm used to. Could be because the laces are coming off at the top, but whatever. So this is the next step. Gloves again. Always wear a glove, right? Doesn't just apply to football prep. If you know, you know. So you put the glove back on because you don't want to, like I said, rub dirt off the ball. I've had that problem in the past. I'm scarred by it. Although honestly, looking at this ball now, and even during the process here, now that I'm watching it back, there's no way any of that stuff was going to come off. I spent so much time scrubbing that ball afterwards that I didn't really have anything to worry about. I do like this LBC stand, although if you notice, the places where it touches the ball sometimes leaves a mark or like leaves dirt on it because there's dirt on that stand, but that's okay. So just a little bit there, leather honey. Be gentle with it. Be gentle with it. Massage it, right? You're romancing the ball here. You've already done the hard work. You're just softening it up now. You're giving it that color and that softness for the long haul with one coat of conditioner. Only thing I would have done differently there is maybe instead of dime size in one spot, I should have just rubbed it or done a line like I did with the first application, but whatever, you live and you learn. It turned out okay anyway. It's funny, the Game Ready guy, if you've seen that video on the channel, told me that part of the reason my ball was too slick is because he used too much leather honey. I thought, like, if what I just did on that one spot is not too much leather honey, then he must have used the super soaker to do mine because mine is still slick. I've tried so many things to get that ball into a playable state just for my own amusement, and I can't do it. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So I'm just rubbing it in here again. I'm not being too careful with the white stripes or anything like that. I do get the brush back out because I can see that, like I said earlier, I've left dirt on the ball thanks to the stand. I don't know. I am a bit picky about this stuff, but I'm not so picky that I'm like cleaning the stand after every use. I also didn't clean the brushes after I mudded and took the mud off, which I probably should have, but whatever. You don't have to if you don't want to. So here I am again, just doing full conditioner application, not being too careful of the stripes, not being too careful of the laces. One thin coat will do it. And we'll come back and talk a bit more about this ball. Now, I know I said 4 hours there, but life gets in the way. You know, I ended up leaving that overnight and coming back to it the next day with dirty brushes. This was, again, like I know I said earlier, you don't have to clean the brush, but your life will be easier if you just rinse the brush off for 5 or 6 minutes and clean the bristles, because this really took me longer than it should have at the back end. 2 reasons, right? One, because you're brushing here, just trying to, you know, get the ball to a place where you like the way it feels in terms of softness. This is when I realized that what I had done was really good. It felt really good at this point, and I hadn't even tacked it yet. So very happy with the outcome. But again, I digress. So I'm just using the Wilson brush here. The reason, like I said, that this became a bit of a pain is because when I did the tack after, you can see my tack bar on the left side there, and you'll notice that it is dirty as hell. It's in my bag a lot. I've used it on balls that I've thrown outside, and I don't like you must have to clean it somehow, but like look at the bottom of that thing. It doesn't score well because it's dirty, and the ball is now dirtier than it should be because I used a dirty brush on it. And I'm thinking, why can't I get this like wax to brush in? It's not brushing in. And I realized after that the problem was that I needed to just use a razor blade or something. I ended up using the X-Acto knife to clean the dirty parts of the wax bar and rinsed off the brush, and then did this again. But the process is the same. You can do it at your place or do it the way you like with the wax bar and the brush. And the reason I use this brush instead of a horsehair brush, which I've seen guys use as well. Horsehair is fine for leather products that you're using on shoes and stuff, but I think with these balls, because the leather's a bit more coarse, and this one especially hasn't been used, you want the ball to heat up a little bit to absorb that wax. And the horsehair brush just won't do it. It's not coarse enough, it's not firm enough, and the leather will not heat up enough for it to work. So you use the Wilson brush or another nylon brush. It heats the leather up just a little bit. It's a little better in terms of rubbing the wax into the ball. And it's a point of preference, really. Like I said before, I breaking this in, I wanted it to be soft. And I thought, you know what? If it's soft, I can add tack to it later. And that's exactly what I did. Now I'm thinking about the stripes. So I basically just took a dishcloth here and tried to get them as best I can. I will say the thing to note here, even though I don't get a ton of actually I do get quite a bit off, but not all of it. You'll notice that even though I am hitting the leather proper, like the panel leather, none of the dark finish from the mudding is coming off. That is outstanding stuff. In the past, I've had a problem with that, but not this time. That treatment, whatever's in that leather milk, really does help the mud absorb into the ball and that color stay with the ball even as it gets wet. So I was really happy to see that. Now you could obviously clean the logos and stuff too, but that's a lot of work, man. If you guys want to do that, you go for it. Anyway, so there it is. That's after, like I said, a couple of days, mostly waiting. There's a grip test. Easy. You can grab it at the top, right? I thought, you know what? The seams make it look easy. I could probably do better. Look at that. Not even holding the seams. Doesn't slip out of your hands. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Here is the finished product. Wilson GST. Never thrown, never used outside or inside. Mudded by yours truly with a little bit of help from some chemical products that you can get basically anywhere. So a couple of things I would take away from this process. Number one is this is an exercise in patience. Whether it's the conditioner after you're done brushing, the brushing itself takes time. The conditioner after you're done brushing, the mud should sit minimum 24 hours, I would say. The conditioner after you mud should sit overnight. It's not brutal work because really it's a lot of waiting, which is fine. But if you rush this, you will get a product that looks rushed. Compare this to the CFL ball I did. LBC probably makes good stuff. People are buying that stuff all the time. But I only waited a few hours with the conditioner, few hours with the mud, few hours with the conditioner after. Could it have been darker? Maybe. Not sure. Second thing, there's going to be care associated with this ball. So to continue from what I said with the ABCs, important to have a nylon brush to brush this thing, keep it tacky, keep the grip on it. Important to have a wax bar to put tack back on if you want. It's easy to do. You do it, a couple times a week, a couple times a month, whatever. I brush these balls, like the ball I used to play, I brush all the time. It's with me most of the time if I'm at the house. As far as like having my bag nearby or whatever, I always brush it before games. Just helps it get a little bit of stick back, and I condition it maybe once a month, let's say, depending on how dry it is, obviously. Third thing I would say, maybe the most important, like I mentioned in the video, These balls are retail products, okay? So what does that mean? It means that when mom and dad get one of these balls, it's not Wilson's expectation that mom and dad are going to know everything they have to do with it. It's not Wilson's expectation that mom and dad are going to take tons of time, pay tons more money, send it to a break-in service, pay for seasonal re-break-ins, re-mudding, re-everything. They're not going to go to Lena Blackburn Mud or the local mud mine on the riverbank 40 minutes away to get mud. They're just going to play with it and use it. So if you take a little bit of time, listener, viewer, to mud with patience, you will get a product like this. Okay? That's a promise. Things I am sure of, if I compare this to Caleb Wilson's, or Caleb Walton, I should say, at Grip and Rip, this is really good. But Caleb is a pro, okay? So don't hold yourself to the standards you see from a guy like Caleb, okay, who is doing ball prep for NFL teams and CFL teams. If you want this, this costs more money, okay? I'll tell you that right now. This is about as good as you're going to get for ball prep. But if you're not playing for an NFL team, CFL team, or high school, and you just want to have a little fun with this and learn a bit about the ball, learn a bit about leather work and all this other stuff, this is the way to do it. This is a repeatable process, okay? I've done this a few times. I've made some mistakes. Obviously, like I said, I took some of the mud off during the process. This is before I was adding leather milk to the balls or to the mud. And, like I said, I didn't finish these with softness in mind. I finished them with tack in mind. And that's the product I got. This one I finished with softness in mind and added tack later. And I got to tell you, I'm more satisfied with it. This is a better ball to throw than either of the ones I just showed. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this ball, but I think now I'm going to try and sell it. So there's 10,000 people watching this channel every month. These balls go for about 200 Canadian most of the time. I will sell this for 200 Canadian. You pay the shipping and just let me know if you want to buy it. My email is cbp.carl.beta.peter.joey@gmail.com. You can leave a comment in the YouTube video, whatever. Find a way to reach me and we'll sort something out. If you want this ball and it's already sold, I have another GST that you saw in the video that I'd be happy to do this for again and sell at the same price. I realize that I could probably sell it for more, but at the end of the day, I would prefer to sell it to people who want the ball, need the service. And I see a lot of you guys in the chat, in the comments saying, hey man, I appreciate this because it's cheaper for me to do it your way than it would be for me to do it other ways. Great. That's exactly what I'm after, okay? Full disclaimer, I'm not cleaning the stripes more than this, and I'm not cleaning the laces more than that. But the ball is otherwise, I got to say, it's really good. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. So as always, man, if you have questions, send them my way. And otherwise, happy throwing. Just doing a quick sound check to see how the mic sounds.